And he's been very successful with it, and everybody's trying to copy what Sean McVay does. So it's interesting that the Eagles aren't. I will say it from that perspective because usually what do people do? He's the flavor of the month. He's the guy you can get an interview if you had a cup of coffee with him. Um, it's interesting that they haven't, um, from Jeffrey Lurie's perspective, they weren't searching for somebody like Sean McVay who does all that.
You got your MAGA Mag guys, Sean McMullen and Jody McDonald here with you on Birds 365. Eagles had their open practice last night. John McMullen was very impressed with Jalen Hurts and his RPO ability to make the Eagle defense look silly. So therefore, he's saying they need to do more of that during the year, not less of that during the year if they're going to turn it into a more pass-happy offense. And I'm going to give you credit here, J-Mac, and see if you want to take the credit. Prior to last night's practice, the coach did speak with the media, and he did reference the fact that maybe this year they'll run a little bit more motion in their offense. That you don't like to be last or near the bottom in the NFL in anything. And you are one that has certainly pointed that out here on Birds 365, that the Eagles were the least motion
30 seconds.
Number 32 out of 32 teams in the NFL. So the coach made reference. I said, someone told me, John McMullen on Birds 365, that they were last in the National Football League in motion offense last year. He wouldn't commit to anything, but he did acknowledge the fact that they weren't the motion offense last year. Is he actually going to address it? Does he hold back on that because he always believes there's a competitive advantage to not say what you're actually going to do? How do you think that plays out? You want them to RPO more than they did last year. We'll put the RPO aside for a second. Will they at least have more motion in their offense this year?
They will, but not a lot. If you're expecting them to be Sean McVay and the Rams, no. And earlier, that's not the first time we've asked Nick or he's talked about it. He had mentioned that earlier. We can't be bottom 5 in the league in anything, and they're bottom 1 in the league. So, but you also go through the history, his history as a coach, not a lot of motion. Shane Steichen's history, not a lot of motion. So basically, they want to be like 24th, somewhere in that range when they're using motion. So they're never going to be a top 5 motion team, somebody who's just doing all this. And, I always say Sean calls it the illusion of complexity. It's not complex. It's just you're trying to fool the defense. And he's been very successful with it, and everybody's trying to copy what Sean McVay does. So it's interesting that the Eagles aren't. I will say it from that perspective because usually what do people do? He's the flavor of the month. He's the guy you can get an interview if you had a cup of coffee with him. It's interesting that they haven't, from Jeffrey Lurie's perspective, they weren't searching for somebody like Sean McVay who does all that. Andy Reid does a ton of it as well, by the way. I should say Andy way before Sean McVay, but they're never going to be, as long as Nick Sirianni's here, a big motion team, but they can't be 32nd dead last in the NFL.
Right. You want to at least make the other team believe that you could be doing something, even if you're not actually going to do something. And if you never do it, then they're never going to buy that when you do it, you're actually going to lean on it and use it. About their running game, you said today you thought that Jalen looked great when he pulled it down, took off, made plays, that the Eagles' strength is still offensive line. That's what it is. And that can be run blocking and or blocking for someone carrying the football. Miles Sanders, he do anything last night? It's kind of been a weird preseason for Miles. He got his nose out of joint because someone pointed out that he was taking reps.
I'm going to say something weird here, Jody.
Okay.
I don't like their running backs. I don't like their running backs.
So you want Jalen to run it how many? 12 times a game?
No, it's not that, because they're going to be successful, whomever runs the football, because of the offensive line like they were last year. I'm just saying I would like to see, like I always give out the names. Yeah, forget about Derrick Henry, but I'd like to see or Jonathan Taylor. I'd like to see a Nick Chubb type. I'd like to see a Dalvin Cook type, that second tier, right under the top two guys. I'd like to see that type of back in this offense and see what they could do, because I think they would just explode things. I don't think the Eagles have good running backs. And it's interesting, on Twitter, I said, where's this coming from? People are talking about trading for running backs. I guess Kareem Hunt. I'd love to see here. They don't have good running backs, to be honest. But it doesn't matter, because they have a great offensive line when they're healthy. I think people don't realize. Yeah, obviously Jordan Mailata. Then you lose Andre Dillard. Then you lose Lurie Clark. People forget the fourth left tackle would be Brett Toth. Oh, he's on the PUP list because he tore his ACL. They were down to their fifth left tackle in practice, which doesn't mean anything because it's not serious injuries. They're not going to be out for a long time. But you can't do things offensively with a fifth left tackle. It makes things really difficult.
Let's stay on the offensive line. Can we call it referee wave it off? The quote unquote competition at right tackle, which, oh, by the way, yours truly said
right guard. No,
what did I say?
There is no right tackle. There is no competition.
It's Isaac, and I don't believe there was truly a competition even when Camp.
No, there wasn't. He hasn't taken one rep at right guard. Not one rep. Jack Driscoll. Not one rep. I got lied to. I'll be say there. I was told the Eagles really. And by the way, this is interesting, because Jack has been bad at right tackle. Brandon Graham has been eating his lunch on a daily basis, and Brandon's a great player. That's another story. At 34, coming off an Achilles, he looks amazing physically. We'll see if it's able to hold up. But I was told in the offseason the Eagles kind of stumbled into, like, Driscoll was drafted to be a right tackle, and that's what he played at Auburn. They thought, he would be the backup right tackle here, and they were forced to kick him inside the guard because of all the injuries last year. And he played really, really well. And they kind of stumbled onto something and said, you know what? I think he's better inside than outside. Well, they were right. He is better inside than outside. But now they're playing him exclusively outside. Now, part of that is because they have Isaac, and Isaac is healthy, and Isaac's a good player. But it is interesting to me, he's not even taken one rep. Not one rep. Not even a backup rep at right guard that I've noticed. He's not taken, in other words, it wasn't even a competition. It was Suo Opeta, who was the backup right guard, and Jack is backing up Lane Johnson. The only thing I can think of is that a couple weeks ago, Lane was talking to us, and he mentioned how bad his ankle surgery was the year prior. And he said one of the reasons he had the issues and left the team was because of his ankle. And he just couldn't run. He thought his career was over. He was depressed. And the only thing I can think of is now he's feeling a lot better. If you saw, Nick Sirianni called him the best right tackle in the world. He's a phenomenal player. But I can't help thinking in the back of their mind, they don't know when that ankle is going to go. And they want to make sure they have somebody ready if that happens, which you don't want to think about, but you got to be realistic. Problem is, not a very good right tackle. He was a good right guard. He's not a good right tackle. So it's interesting to me. But yeah, Isaac is, uh, he's the only question with Isaac at the start of camp was he going to be cleared? And he was cleared, and he's taken every first team rep. I don't think he's missed a first team rep.
Since day one, he's been clear. So it's
Yeah.
been quite obvious that he's going to be the right guard, which gives the Eagles the chance to have the best offensive line in football. I believe they do. I believe they will. Johnny Mack believes it's going to open up RPOs for Jalen Hurts to rush for 1,000 yards this year.
I didn't say 1,000. That's silly.
All right. Well, he rushed for what, 600 or 700 and change last year.
You're misconstruing my point. You're misconstruing my point.
Then please explain to me so I get it right.
By I'm saying, look, an RPO is a run pass option. I'm saying take advantage of I'm not saying he has to run the ball 20 times. I'm saying utilize his ability to affect the defense with the RPOs. It might be drawing the defense in so we can throw an easy pass to A.J. Brown or Dallas Goedert. Jalen doesn't typically throw receivers open. Like the Tom Brady's of the world, they're going to throw receivers open. He's got to throw 2 open receivers. That opens up that aspect of the game. It's not about numbers. It's not about rushing yards. It's about using what he does well to affect the defense and make things easier for him. And standing back in the pocket and throwing the football from the pocket like he's Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert is not utilizing Jalen Hurts the best way. That's what I mean. Not that he has to run it 20 times, not that he has to run it more than last year, but the offense should be very, very similar to last year's offense when they turn the corner. Not early. Last season's a perfect example. Don't do what you did early. Do what you do when you started in Las Vegas. That's how you should be playing offense with this particular group that Nick Sirianni has. And by the way, I think he will do that.
You were there last night. I was not. How many RPOs would you say they ran in the team drills?
I saw 4, and they were all successful in from Jalen's perspective. A couple.
Okay.
I don't really care about anybody else.
Of those 4, how many did he throw the football? How many times did he run?
4 runs. I'm sorry.
4 runs.
You're talking about overall?
Yeah.
Probably 5 or 6.
5 or 6. How'd the passing ones work?
They didn't throw the ball. They did have one. I think that was a slip screen. I'm trying to think. I didn't chart the whole practice. They didn't throw the ball well.
Here's my problems with RPOs with Jalen Hurts. Just my take. If you're going to run an RPO, that decreases the number of options that you have on the play when it comes to throwing it because you're shrinking the amount of time that you have to find that open wide receiver and get him the football. You're faking a run to begin with. So now you're making it an even shorter period of time to Jalen Hurts. If he's going to throw the football, he's choosing to throw the football. Now it's an even more difficult throw because you've got less time to deal with. If an RPO is going to work with Jalen Hurts, he's going to pull the ball down. He's going to take off. If he's just going to use that as a fake and throw the football, he's not that guy. He doesn't have that skill set where, all right, you got the one pass, you're going to be able to throw it on a dime, you're going to be accurate, you're going to hit the guy in motion. You've only got one read. That's it. You got one read. Either the guy's going to be open or you're going to take off and throw the ball. That's going to make it that much more pressurized for Jalen Hurts, and I don't think he's up to that.
If he can't do that, what makes you think he can go through a full field progression? I mean, that's easy. That's easy. You read one player. It's
simplistic. It's not necessarily easy.
Well, simplistic. Yeah, that's a better
I think there's
term.
a difference between simplistic and easy. Easy to me is if you have the skill set to get the ball to that one player who is only open by whatever he's open by, that doesn't make it easy. That just makes it simplistic.
Well,
Your decision is made
yeah, but
for
the
you.
reason RPOs exist is because of the simplicity aspect. That's what they did at the college level. They're trying to make things simpler for the quarterback. That's the reason they exist. Now you have to have the athleticism to take advantage of it, which Jalen actually has. But two things. If we're sitting here again talking about full field progressions, they don't exist in the NFL anymore with young quarterbacks. Never mind Jalen Hurts. They don't exist anymore. So unless you have Tom Brady, unless you have Aaron Rodgers, and by the way, Matt Ryan, Kirk Cousins, I don't know, there's probably a couple others. Once those guys retire, they might not exist at all. And if Tom Brady ever retires, he's doing half field progressions anyway. Look, they've helped him by getting better receivers because AJ Brown's going to win. AJ Brown's going to get open. Dallas Goedert's going to win. Dallas Goedert's going to get open. Devontae Smith's going to win. Devontae Smith's going to get open. So they've already improved that half field progression part of it. That should help them. But again, if we're talking about down 14-0 in the first quarter, and all of a sudden you got to drop back and throw the football consistently, that is not conducive for this Philadelphia Eagles team to win. I mean, it's not conducive for anybody. But if you're down 14-0, you're not happy about it. You're never happy about it. But if you have Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers, you're not panicking. You're not panicking because you know you have a chance to get back in the football game. Eagles, they're probably in deep doo-doo.
All right. Well, then, John, if you're right, that's you can go ahead and spend your playoff money because the Eagles are not going to be able to win 11 games, go on the road, and win a playoff game the same way they did last year. Something's got to be upgraded with the Eagles' offense this offseason. It was nice that they got 9 wins last year. Could have been 10 if they played the last game. It was nice that they made the playoffs last year. They went and they got their tail kicked in Tampa. Something has to be upgraded with the Eagles' offense this offseason. John's kind of indicating he thinks they're better served just running it back the way they finished up last season. I think there's got to be a change. I think they have to do something different. Now, it may get worse. John might be right. They have Jalen throw the ball that much more this year. You assume that A.J. Brown, as John said, is going to win battles.
That's right. The upgrade, Jody, is personnel. The upgrade is personnel. AJ, the upgrade is the personnel aspect.
I think that the quarterback has to upgrade himself as well. All right, coming up next, we've got one of our buds. He's just back from Canton, made the drive out, made the drive back. Got to see some Eagle people get enshrined this week in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And a Philadelphia guy going back to his star days before he was a star in New Orleans and Carolina. Sam Mills also getting in. So it was a big weekend for Paul Domwich. Looking forward to chatting him up here on Birds 365.